How's it going, guys? And welcome to my guide on taking the Baron Nashor as Yorick. Now, this guide will extend to both top lane and jungle Yorick, but it's primarily a lot easier to take on the jungle because you do have access to taking the Mountain Dragons when you want them, and you also have access to a bit more of a heavy AD item build anyway. But regardless, let's get started. Now, I've drawn up a few rules for you to learn. They're pretty complicated, but once you get a bit of practice, you'll learn them off the top of your head. So the first one is basically goes the same rule for a lot of minions in the game, but the Baron will attack the nearest enemy unit. So if there's a Mistwalker that's closer to the Baron than Yorick, it's going to hit him. If you have an allied champion that's near the Baron, or at least closer to the Baron than Yorick is, it's going to attack that champion. The Baron's attacks also apply a debuff that reduces the damage it takes from that attacked minion or champion. So it only lasts on one champion or minion at a time. If the Baron attacks one minion and then attacks another minion, or one champion and then attacks another champion, it's taken off the first champion and it's put onto the second champion. So keep that in mind. And the last one is the Baron performs a random ability every 5 attacks. So if you get used to counting how many attacks the Baron's done, you'll be able to tell when that next ability is going to come out. Now, that ability usually takes about 1 to 2 seconds to cast, so that's the perfect time for you to go and dish out all the damage you can, assuming the debuff has been taken off Yorick and put onto a minion instead, because you've pathed in a way that the nearest enemy unit to the Baron at the time of its 5th attack is a Mistwalker and not Yorick. Okay, so the best way to solo the Baron is, first of all, you're going to right click around here towards the back of the Baron, and then you're going to right click over here about a second later. And what that does is it basically makes Yorick walk this way. Note that the Mistwalkers always walk behind Yorick. Then once you get to this location, you right click over here, you're walking this way. This puts the Mistwalkers right there, and it puts them the closest minion to the Baron buff at the time. So you'll see right here, the closest minion to the Baron buff is the Mistwalkers. It's not Yorick. So after Yorick attacks it, they're the ones that take the first attack. So then you want to cast your E. Now you're going to wait until 2 Mistwalkers die, just like that, and now you're going to cast your ultimate ability. Now, generally speaking, don't cast it on top of the Baron. Always put it somewhere close. If you put it on top of the Baron, you'll never be able to take aggro off it. But if you put it too far away, you'll never be able to get aggro onto it, just in case something goes wrong and that needs to take aggro straight away. So generally speaking, put it about there. Right on that spot is perfect. Now, all these time, you're going to want to count the attacks. So it's done 2 attacks so far because we have 2 Mistwalkers. Every 5 attacks, it's going to do that spell. So we'll probably wait until the first spell goes off and then we'll start to count. So there's the first spell, okay? So from here, let's count. So you can see the Baron's going to do 1 attack, 2 attack, 3 attack. Now, as soon as it does its 3rd attack, I want you to walk back, because it's going to do its next attack on a Mistwalker and then its next attack on a Mistwalker. Now, at this stage of the game, if you have something around these items, your Mistwalkers can take 2 attacks from the Baron. And that's perfect. That's exactly where you want to be. And this works for top Yorick as well. It's not just jungle. So yeah, like I said, next 2 attacks go onto the Baron, onto the Mistwalkers. So you see, there's the 5th attack there. It just went and killed that minion right there. So he's gone. Now it's going to do a charge up spell. So you can do this where you move on the 4th attack instead of the 3rd. But I definitely recommend going the 3rd instead, because the time frame is really hard before you actually understand how to put aggro onto something else. It's a bit of a nightmare. But I believe in you. You'll get it. So as soon as it starts that charge up mode, that's all perfect. Notice our damage isn't being reduced. We do not have that debuff right here, because the last attack went onto that one. Officially, no minion in the game has the debuff right now. As it's about to end, make sure you put Yorick as the closest thing to the Baron Nashor. So now it resumes attacking Yorick. You're going to count again. So that's 1 attack. That's 2 attacks. That's 3 attacks. As soon as it does the 3rd, we walk back. 4th attack goes onto the Mistwalker. 5th attack goes onto that Mistwalker. Now it's going to be the charge up time. So that's when we're going to walk up, do as much damage as we can. When it gets to about this health, you can be reckless. You just front tank. It doesn't really matter that much. Either way, you've done it well enough to secure it, and you should be rewarded with the Baron. Now, this has a Mountain Dragon, so of course it's going to be a bit easier to do. It will you can solo it regardless of the dragons that you have. It just depends on the amount of time it's going to take you to do it. Mountain Dragon will shave off about 6 seconds per dragon, around about that. And you can see, very easy to solo.